اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال: سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت: دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال: السلام عليك يا فاطمة. فقلت: عليك السلام. قال: إني أجد في بدني ضعفا. فقلت له: إذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال: يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به، وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت: عليك السلام يا كرة عيني وسمرة فؤادي. فقال: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائية طيبة كأنها رائية جد رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله، أتعذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وسمرة فؤادي. فقال لي: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائية طيبة كأنها رائية جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت: نعم، إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه، والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتعذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال: السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال: يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عم رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتعذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له: وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب لواعي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت: السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتعذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال: وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال: اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن أعداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات، إني ما خلقت السماء مبنيا ولا أرضا مدحيا ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيعا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل: يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله: نعم، قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيعا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله: وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء. فقال لأبي: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي: يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال نبي الذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا: ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي: إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا: يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين وفيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله حما، ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غما، ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجة. فقال علي: إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيئتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. الفاتحة.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. جہاں حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، جہاں حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، وہاں طواف میں کعبہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، جہاں 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 حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، نہ جانے کیسی حقیقت میں ہے حسین کی ماں، نہ جانے کیسی حقیقت میں ہے حسین کی ماں، کسی کے نور میں اللہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، جہاں حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، وہ جس مقام پہ آدم سے عیسیٰ تک نہ گئے، وہ جس مقام پہ آدم سے عیسیٰ تک نہ گئے، وہاں 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 حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، وہاں وہاں حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، ادب کی اوڑھ کے چادر رسول اٹھتے ہیں، ادب کی اوڑھ کے چادر رسول اٹھتے ہیں، کہ جب حسین کا چہرہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، جہاں حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، وہاں طواف میں کعبہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، جہاں حسین کا سجدہ دکھائی دیتا ہے، محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
Okay, in the absence, what I would take to do is try to go back and introduce Shaykh Nabil Awan, who's been here several times, so we're all familiar with him. But without further ado, we go a traditional Wessex style of inviting him to the minbar with the salawat.
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهداة المهديين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. رحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين. Amma ba'd, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Mirzia, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the shuhada, ulama and siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Marwah al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. Once again, it's an honor to be back here, and especially on such an auspicious occasion, at the start of such an auspicious month. As I was driving up here, I saw the month of the moon of the month of Rajab, just around the time of sunset. And that sign is a sign that for the lovers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they look forward to that moon. But for the vast majority of people, the dread starts to fill them. Because the moment they see that moon, now they know that Shahr Ramadan is nearby. And so as the days go by one, that dread begins to fill them more and more. And as they reach Sha'ban, now they know they're almost there. Until the night before Shahr Ramadan, where everyone's arguing whether tomorrow it is. No, it's not, it's the day after. And then, you know how it is for Eid. We get to the end and everyone's like, no, today, it's got to be Eid tomorrow. And nobody wants to delay the holy month. But nonetheless, the reality should be that we look forward to it. And this month and the month that comes after Sha'ban is all in preparation for the holy month of Ramadan. It's very cliche, right? You hear it off the Nabil all the time. People talk about it, that, these months are the preparation for the holy month of Ramadan, and we've heard it all our lives in different languages as well. But how much of it really have we taken in to our wujud? How much have we actually understood what it means? Now, how much do we actually take the blessings of this month? Because everything that we do throughout the year is leading to one point, the spiritual height of the believer. And those are Layal al-Qadr, the nights of Qadr. We're reaching that point of destiny where we now at that point will define what is to happen for the year to come. But it's what we do in this month and in the month of Sha'ban that defines whether or not Laylatul Qadr is successful for us. There is a checkpoint in between, as it were, the 15th of Sha'ban. 15th of Sha'ban is again the night, Laylatul Bara'ah is a night where we say destinies are written. And so some people question that how is it possible that destiny can be written twice? We're saying Laylatul Bara'ah, 15th of Sha'ban, is where your destiny is written. And then Laylatul Qadr is where your destiny is written. How is it possible that two destinies are written? And Sayyid Ibn Tawus explains this beautifully. He says, the 15th of Sha'ban is almost, as it were, a draft form of your destiny, where it is written within Lawh Mahab wal Ithbat, the erasable tablet. From this point, from the start of the month of Rajab until the 15th of Sha'ban, what you have done and the a'mal of the 15th of Sha'ban and the purity and the sincerity of your actions will be written in draft on the 15th of Sha'ban. Then from the 15th of Sha'ban till the first night of Qadr, you will be assessed. Did you keep up with your promises? With all the things that you asked for on the 15th of Sha'ban, all of those promises you made, all of that istighfar that you did in the holy month of Rajab, all of that, did you keep up with it? Did you build on it? Did you develop on what the base that you had created for yourself? And then that is then written in Lawh Mahfuz. And then, we have riwayat, the 19th, again, the draft is rewritten. 21st, it is then rubber stamped. And then on the 23rd, it is finally sealed what your destiny will be. But at each of these stages is an opportunity for an individual to rewrite or improve that particular destiny that they have written for themselves. But the beginning of that journey is from this night, from the holy month of Rajab. This whole spiritual journey, leading to Layal al-Qadr, even the Imam of our time, to be able to receive the Amr that is revealed on the night of Qadr for him, he embarks upon a 3-month spiritual exercise program. So that which he is to receive on the night of Qadr, that his heart can bear it. Because what comes in form of revelation, obviously not the same as the revelation that came upon the Prophet, only the heart of the Prophet can bear it. But that direct wahi from Allah, that direct wisdom coming from Allah, the amr coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is very difficult for the heart to bear. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل, that if we revealed this Quran upon the mountains, you would have seen that these mountains crumbled under the weight of this wahi. This direct wahi that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the Imam embarks upon a spiritual program. And we too should be embarking upon a spiritual program. That when we reach the night of Qadr, we truly feel that tanazzul al-malaika wa ruh. We should feel it. We should feel that salamun hiya hatta matla' al-fajr. You shouldn't need to be told that it is the night of Qadr. You should feel it. Because your heart has opened so much to that reality, to the malakut of the alam, that you feel the comings and the goings of the angels. And you feel the increase of those malakuti beings in this realm. See, the heart, al-qalbu yataraddadu bayna al-mulki wal-malakut. Your heart is the revolving door that connects you from the mulk to the malakut, to the angelic realms that are on just the other side of a curtain, as it were. The more pure your heart is, the more you perceive the realities of the malakut. But the more this heart is rusted, the less a person benefits. And at times we waste a whole year not doing what we should be doing. And so when we reach Laylatul Qadr, we waste Laylatul Qadr making up for that which we should have been doing. This 100 rakat salah that we recite, this qada that you recite, that should have been done during the year. For Layal al-Qadr, there is 100 rakat salah, but it's not the qada of your year. It's a mustahab salah for the night of Qadr, 100 rakat. But because I'm so deficient throughout the year, I go back trying to make up for the deficiency that I have created within myself, thus always missing out on the divine glory of the night of Qadr itself. But if I prepare myself to reach the night of Qadr, to receive those realities that are there, to receive that rizq that is being manifest on that night, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed certain portals in this world, certain times, certain places towards His divine grace, certain individuals towards His divine grace. And an individual must know how to enter those divine portals. There are places like Karbala, for example. It's one of those portals towards Allah, towards the divine grace. It takes a person, the journey towards Allah becomes a lot shorter in those places. Or then certain times, Thursday nights, for example, or the nights of before Eid, or the night of Qadr, certain months, specifically the months of Rajab, Sha'ban, and Shahr Ramadan. These are those divine portals that enable you to complete this journey towards Allah a lot quicker, especially the night of Qadr. The Quran Allah isn't just throwing out a number there, throwing out a number just randomly, that Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alf shahr. It's not a random number that's been thrown out. No, this is a reality. That the one night of Qadr is greater than 1,000 months of ibadat, yani a whole lifetime. That one subhanallah that you do is equivalent to 80 plus years. Now imagine if you had prepared properly for that night, then what maqam would you reach? The Arafah of Allah, the Arafah that walk upon this path, from the moment that the night of Qadr would finish, they would begin their preparation for the next night of Qadr. So that I'm able to ascend more. Every time I jump 80 years in my spiritual growth. But the fact is that I spent my whole year being deficient. That when I reached the night of Qadr, rather than ascending, I'm just making up for the deficiency that I had created within myself. And then everything becomes a tick box exercise, because I want to try and quantify spirituality. But spirituality isn't something that's quantifiable. It is a qualitative journey towards Allah. It's not quantifiable. But in my mind, because I need to have numbers and reports and quantify everything, so I need to know that Laylatul Qadr is only successful if I have done this, and I take everything on that sheet that I'm given on the night of Qadr, and I leave feeling really good about myself. But yet I'm exactly the same. Nothing changes. I come out of that night of Qadr exactly the same. How many of us can actually say tangibly, yes, last year's night of Qadr, Allah gave me this. I ascended this much. I continued from the last night of Qadr, from all the rizq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me, that now when I reach this night of Qadr, I'm ready to level up again. But I just continue along the same path. So it's an opportunity now that from the first night of the holy month of Rajab, my aim should be Laylatul Qadr. That I'm going to train myself spiritually and physically. If I'm one of those people that reaches the night of Qadr and all of a sudden I start feeling tired, even though you ask me to stay awake with my friends all night long, no problem, I never feel tired. But the moment it comes to ibadat, I feel tired. Or if I'm one of those people that usually I could sit fine, but the moment a dua starts, I need a chair, I need to straighten out my legs, I need to lean against a wall. I'm talking to young people, my elders, this doesn't apply to. Okay? If I'm one of those people, then what does that mean? See, spiritual strength and physical strength are two different things. I have all of this passion for the dunya, but when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and having to sit an hour, 2 hours doing the dua, it's adab for me. Don't flick through and try and look forward. And that's okay, that's human nature. But what you do, make sure that it counts. If you can't do all the a'mal of Laylatul Qadr, it's mustahab anyway. Just do what you can do with concentration without sticking your legs out in front of you with the Quran there, disrespecting. I'm asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Bika ya Allah, for your sake, for the sake of the, and my feet are out, or I'm doing istighfar and the Quran's at my feet and I'm just splayed out against the wall. And somehow I magically want God to bestow the realities of existence. It doesn't happen like that. So I need to both physically, mentally, and spiritually prepare myself for Layal al-Qadr. Because that's an opportunity to ascend. And it begins from the holy month of Rajab. We have a hadith where it says, إن الله تعالى نصب في السماء سابعة ملك يقال له داعي. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed an angel at the seventh heaven, that lives in the seventh heaven, an angel by the name of Da'i. فَإِذَا دَخَلَ شَهْرُ رَجَبْ. And when the month of Rajab begins, this angel begins to call out. Every morning and every night, he says, طُوبَى لِلذَّاكِرِينَ طُوبَى لِلطَّاعِينَ. Says, lucky are those who remember, that do dhikr. Lucky are those who obey. And then he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says, أَنَا جَلِيسُ مَنْ جَالِسَنِي. Says, I am the sitting companion of the one who sits with me. وَمُطِيعُ مَنْ أَطَاعَنِي. And I am obedient to the one who obeys me. Rajab, Allah is saying this. Not this angel. Allah is saying this. وَغَافِرُ مَنْ اسْتَغْفَرَنِي. And I am the forgiver of the one who asks me to forgive them. I am the one that sits with the one who sits with me. When you sit down and your focus is Allah, your companion in that sitting is Allah as well. Especially in the month of Rajab. When you obey him, he says, you obey me, I will become obedient to you. Radiyatan maradiyya. Being satisfied not just with him, but there is another stage where he is satisfied with you. There's a two-way thing. He says, first tell me whether you are satisfied with my lordship over you. It's the maqam that I can reach, that Allah bestows upon his abd. He says that I am the one that sits with the one that sits with me. I am the one that forgives, the one that asks me for forgiveness. Ash-shahru shahri. For the month is my month. Wal-abdu abdi. And the servant is my servant. Wal-rahmatu rahmati. And the mercy is my mercy. فَمَنْ دَعَانِي فِي هَذَا الشَّهْرِ أَجَبْتُ. Says, and whoever then calls out to me in this month, I'll reply. وَمَنْ سَأَلَنِي أَعْطَيْتُ. And the one who asks from me in this month, I'll give. And whoever seeks hidayah, who seeks guidance from me, in this month I will guide them. وَجَعَلْتُ هَذَا الشَّهْرَ حَبْلًا بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ عِبَادِي. For I have made this month, the month of Rajab, a rope between me and my servant. فَمَنِ اعْتَصَمَ بِهِ. And whosoever grabs hold of it, وَصِلَ إِلَيَّ. They will be connected to me. They will reach me. This month is an opportunity to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's an opportunity for us to get connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To develop that until the holy month of Sha'ban, then step up again. And then when we reach the holy month of Ramadan, step up again until we reach Layal al-Qadr. Amongst the mustahab worships of this month is that one should constantly be in a state of istighfar. It's the most recommended action, to do istighfar constantly in this month. At least 70 times a day. And then to say La ilaha illallah at least 100 times a day. So that one is able to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the ways, I said that there were these portals. One of those portals to reach Allah, there are places, there are times, and then there are people, individuals who are portals. And one of those portals is the Holy Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. They are a portal towards the divine mercy because they are a manifestation of the divine names. And today we've gathered to celebrate the birth of an individual whom the Holy Prophet of Islam told Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari that Jabir, you will see a descendant of mine. And when you see him, you will give him my salam. Jabir says, how will I recognize him? Says Jabir, you will know when you see him. For his name will be my name. And he will look like me. And his walk will be like my walking. Jabir says, Ya Rasulullah, what will be his name? Says he will go by the name of Muhammad ibn Ali, but no, in the Torah his name is Baqir. Says he will be the one that will break open the knowledge of the prophets of God. Baqir al-ilm. He will break open the knowledge of every single one of the prophets of God. That knowledge that was hidden in the chest of Musa. That name that was uttered by Isa to raise the dead. The name that was uttered by Dawood to melt metal in his hands. And even the knowledge of Khatim al-Nabiyyin, all will be within this one individual. And he will break open this knowledge for everyone in this world to see. And so when it comes to that time, Jabir is looking at the children. Sees one child resembles Rasulullah. He goes to him, he says, what is your name? He says, Muhammad ibn Ali. He says, walk for me a few steps. He says, I saw him, he walked, and then I called him back. And then I realized that this was the one whom Rasulullah had told me about. So he says to him that, Ibn Rasulullah, I convey to you salams from your grandfather Rasulullah. He looks at me, he says, Wa alaykum salam Says Jabir, may salams be upon my grandfather and upon you who has conveyed this salam to me. He is the one that is al-Baqir. See, the names of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are not like our names. Our names are just labels that are attached to a body. But the names of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are indicative of a specific purpose that they had within this world. A specific door to a specific aspect of God that they manifest. And so when it comes to the wujud of the fifth Imam, he is the one that is the splitter of knowledge. Knowledge that was hidden. Knowledge that was unknown. He broke it open and he shared it with the world. How much of that knowledge or how much of that love of knowledge do I have? Because the way to reach Allah via the A'immah alayhimus salam is to emulate, is to try and absorb as much of their personalities within my own personality. And so how much love of acquiring knowledge do I have? He's an Imam that was the one that broke open knowledge. Over 400 students the Imam had. It was the first time in the history of the A'immah alayhimus salam that knowledge was able, because Bani Umayyah, Bani Abbas were fighting amongst each other. It was a prime time that Imam al-Baqir could start something. Imam al-Sadiq was then able to make it reach a point of fruition. They were able to spread this knowledge so that the people knew. And then during the time of Imam al-Kadhim, it was suppressed. And then when it comes to Imam al-Rada alayhi salam, again, this knowledge rises, because now Imam al-Rada being made the heir apparent, now he could say whatever he wanted, do whatever he wanted, hold gatherings however he wanted to hold them, because he was given that position. And that's why you see, again, the Shia knowledge again develops to another level, that now Imam al-Hadi can come along and recite Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira, because now the mindsets of the general public and the Shias were ready for the realities, the ma'arif of Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira, to understand the true maqam of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. I want to, in the time that I have remaining, to look at two hadith from Imam al-Baqir to see if we can implement them within our lives. The first is that the Imam is visited by one of the Khulafa. Now you know that Imam lived through the time of at least 3-4 of the Khulafa, some of Bani Umayyah, and then towards the start of Bani al-Abbas. One of those individuals was Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Now, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, comparatively from all of the other Umayyads, was a friend of Ahlul Bayt. He was still a ghasib. He was in power for 2 years, but he stopped the cursing of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He allowed hadith to be written again. So during his time, the Ahlul Bayt had some level of freedom, and he had some respect for them, because his teacher was a Shia undercover, and he had instilled the love of Ahlul Bayt within his heart. But still, he was still a usurper of the haqq of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. But in one of his visits to Mecca, on the way back, he comes to visit Imam al-Baqir in Medina. And he sits with Imam al-Baqir, and he says that, Imam, give me some advice. Imam al-Baqir says to him, O son of Abdul Aziz, you should know that this dunya is a marketplace amongst the marketplaces. So be sure to take its profits before you are too late. And then the Imam says, there are 3 things that will cause the iman of an individual to be perfected. This is something that we can take as well. It says, ثلاث من كن فيه استكمل الإيمان بالله. Says whoever has these three characteristics, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will perfect his iman. As soon as the Imam said this, the narration says, فَجَثَى عُمَرَ عَلَى رُكْبَتَيْهِ. Says Umar sat on his knees, like you do between the sajdas in your salah, out of sign of respect. And he leaned forward to listen to what the Imam had to say. Imam says to him, Ya Umar, the first thing, مَنْ إِذَا رَضِيَ لَمْ يُدْخِلْهُ رِضَاهُ فِي الْبَاطِلِ. Says the first thing is that the one that is happy or is happy about something, he doesn't allow his happiness to take him towards batil, doesn't allow him to take him towards sin. One of the prime examples are weddings. Everybody's happy, at least initially. Everybody's happy on the day, but sometimes that happiness pushes us towards batil. It is a spiritual event. It is an event that allows a couple to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then that happiness is corrupted through sin. In the masjid, it's all nice and holy when we're doing the nikah. Then we're like, oh, reception, not in the masjid. Or reception somewhere else. Yeah? Where the Maulanas are not invited. Keep him in the masjid. The reception, no. Because why? Because there, now hijab will be a bit more lax. The mixing will be a bit more lax. We'll have a bit of music playing there as well. Happiness. It says, don't allow your happiness to take you towards batil. If you allow your happiness to take you towards batil, your iman will never be complete. You'll always be naqis in your iman, always be incomplete in your iman. Happiness, the first thing, happiness. Don't allow that happiness to take you towards batil, take you towards sin. وَإِذَا غَضِبَ لَمْ يُخْرِجْهُ غَضَبَهُ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. And if you are angry, or if a person is angry, they do not allow their anger to remove them from haqq. I know what is truth. I know what's right. I know what the person that is advising me, what they're saying is true, but it makes me angry. And so I'll just disrespect them. I lose my temper. I can't control my emotions. When I lose my temper, I disrespect anyone and everyone that's in front of me, be they my parents, be they my children, be it my spouse. And then afterwards, I go and apologize. That's why Amir al-Mu'mineen says, ghadab, anger, is insanity. Because once the anger has gone, the person now feels bad. But if a person no longer feels bad having been angry, know that the insanity has become ingrained within them. It says, do not allow your anger to take you from truth. At times we become so passionate about certain things that we no longer look at haqq and batil. It doesn't matter. Now I'm just serving my own ego. I know something is wrong. Fundamentally, it is wrong. It is against Islam. But my anger won't allow me to admit. It says, anger. Don't allow your anger to take you away from the truth. If you're angry, then be angry for the sake of truth. Because having no anger at all is not good either. Having ghadab for the sake, anger for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But most of the time I don't have that. Most of my anger is focused solely on myself. It's an ego thing for me. The third thing says, من إذا قدر لم يتناول ما ليس له. He says, and if you have power, do not take that which does not belong to you, or do not consume that which does not belong to you. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, I said, he was smarter out of the rest of the Umayyads. He understood what the Imam was saying, partially. Said that, and if you have power, do not consume that which does not belong to you. They say, فَدَعَى عُمَرْ بِالدَّوَاتٍ وَقِرْطَاسٍ. Says Umar ordered for a pen and paper to be brought to him, and this is one of the times in history where Fadak was returned back to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And then later, subsequent Khulafa then took it, and then others returned it and took it, and back and forth, right up until the Abbasids was Fadak being taken and given by the Khalifas. But this is one of the first times in history that Fadak was returned back to Ahlul Bayt, because he understood that when I'm in a position of power, then I should not consume that which does not belong to me. I shouldn't. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Talha al-Zubayr, they come to see him. He says, is it a personal matter or a matter of the government? It's a personal matter. So he extinguishes the candle that is there, and he goes and he orders for a candle to be brought from his house. He says, because this candle is for the work of Baytul Mal. That level of justice. That level of justice. That when you're in power, doesn't mean that you just do whatever you want to do because you have that power. Muawiyah did that. Surah Hamadani is one of the Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen. She goes to see Muawiyah concerning one of the governors that was being unfair. And Muawiyah, he didn't listen to her. He sort of ignored her, turned his back to her, laughed, was talking to people. And as she was leaving, she said to him, you know, Muawiyah, I went with the same problem towards Ali when one of his governors was misbehaving. He said there and then Amir al-Mu'mineen wrote a letter dismissing that governor. Then she recites two bayt of poetry. Says, صَلَّى الْإِلَهُ عَلَى جَسَدٍ تَذَمَّنَهُ الْقَبْرِ فَأَصْبَحَ فِيهِ عَدْلُ مَدْفُونًا. She says, praise be upon that body that was buried under the earth, and with it justice was buried as well. He says, so who are you talking about? He says, ذَاكَ عَلِيُّ بْنُ أَبِي طَالِبٍ. She says, this is about Ali. So when one is in power, they do not consume that which does not belong to them. And one can look at it from an overarching level. You can look at it from an organizational level. If I'm elected into a committee, am I being responsible with, for example, the funds of the people, or the funds of the Center for, there's a photocopier. I'm just throwing out an example. The photocopier, and I need to photocopy my kid's homework for his school. I'll just use the one in the masjid, in the office. It's a problem. It's a problem. Because why? It's been waqfed. It's okay, I'll just use it. Or even where I'm working. It's for work purposes, but I'll just use the printer just to print out something because it's a personal matter without permission of the owner of it. It's a problem. So if you're in a position of power, don't consume that which does not belong to you. And then we can take it from that overarching level all the way down to, just because I'm the older brother and my younger brother left some drink in the fridge that he liked, but I like it as well, I'll just finish it because I'm older. It applies throughout the whole system. Spirituality isn't just restricted to the Musalla, it's all over. So that's the first hadith. The second hadith from the Imam. He says, لا يكون العبد عابدا لله حقا عبادته حتى ينقطع عن الخلق كلهم. Says the servant cannot achieve the heights of servitude towards Allah until he has cut off all connection to the rest of creation. Until he has cut off all connection, his hope from all except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now what does that mean? I go and live in a cave somewhere? No, it's that my hope is not in human beings. My hope is always towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's always in Allah. My trust is always in Allah. I don't look at anyone else. I don't extend my hand out towards anyone else. Because most of the time, I do it without Allah. When I ask someone for help, in whatever it is, financial, physical, whatever help it may be, I do that action without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't ever say, yo, Ya Allah, I need this. I know this person has the wherewithal to help me, has the ability to help me as well. And I have my trust in you, but I'm going. Don't destroy my izzah. Now I'm putting Allah first, and then going and embarking upon that path. But most of the time I don't do that. I remove Allah from the equation and go straight to someone straight away. When I'm getting in my car to drive, my hope and my trust is in my car and my ability to drive. I don't get in the car and go, Ya Allah, you help me reach. A very highly recommended dua is mustahab every time one goes on a journey. Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, before he embarked upon the ark, from the Holy Quran, رَبِّ أَنزِلْنِي مُنزِلًا مُبَارَكًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْمُنزِلِينَ. That's Allah, take me to a destination that is Mubarak, that is filled with your barakah, with your blessings. When I get out and I go on a journey and I put my trust in Allah in that way. But most of the time I do it without God. Without God. So I put my trust in everything and anything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're coming up to Sha'ban, and inshallah everyone will be reciting Munajat Sha'baniyya. And in that, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Ilahi habli kamalan inqita'i ilayk. Wa anir absara qulubina badiya'i nadariha ilayk. Says, my Lord, get me to this point where I cut off all my connections to all of those other than you. Kamalan inqita', a total cutting off. That my sole reliance is upon you. And what is the effect of that? It says, until the eyes of my heart are illuminated upon gazing upon your divine light, cutting through the curtains that separate me and your divine majesty. The first step in ubudiyya, in servitude, in submission, is to cut off all hopes from everyone else. In Dua Abu Hamza Thumali, in the opening lines, what is it? Praise be to that Lord who gives to me whenever I ask for him. But if I were to go and ask others, surely they would shame me. It's about having my sole trust in Allah. Imam al-Baqir is saying, ubudiyya, servitude, cannot be achieved except by having your hope solely and solely within Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It says, فَهِينَ إِذٍ, when someone does this, فَهِينَ إِذٍ يَقول, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, هَذَا خَالِصٌ لِي فَيَقْبُلُهُ بِكَرَمِهِ. Says that Allah will say, yes, this is ikhlas. This is sincerity. And He will bestow upon him and accept from him through His karam, through His generosity. when one is true. And ikhlas, we could talk about it for a long time. The stages of spirituality, the final stage is the one of sincerity, of ikhlas, having total and utter trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After going through 12 different stages of spiritual growth, one reaches the realm of ikhlas, of sincerity. But in order to reach it, one has to cut off all the hopes from others. Attach themselves towards those that are the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Be willing, because that's one of the easiest ways. Be willing to be totally submissive towards your Imam, so then that your Imam will take you on that journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This journey cannot be completed without Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. There is no way to Allah except the way of Ahlul Bayt. And that's why you see the companions of Imam al-Baqir, especially someone like Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi. Jabir is that individual who he himself says, I have memorized 60,000 hadith of Asrar from the 5th Imam and the 6th Imam. What are the hadith of Asrar, the hadith of the secrets? These are those divine realities, those divine secrets that are not revealed to anyone. The A'immah had Ashabul Sir. They had their close companions. You know that famous hadith of Imam Ali and Kumail, what is reality, the hadith of Haqiqah. And it says Imam began and Kumail asked and Imam asked and Kumail asked, Imam answered. And Kumail says a short while later I realized that the whole night had passed and it was the time of Fajr. That's a hadith of Asrar. Jabir al-Ju'fi says I have memorized 60,000 of them. One of Kumail, and Jabir al-Ju'fi has 60,000. Imagine the maqam of this Jabir al-Ju'fi. One day Jabir, a person with such standing in society, such standing in the eyes of the Imam, he receives a letter from the 5th Imam. We're talking about ikhlas. If I want to reach Allah, I want to be mukhlis, I want to get to that position where my hope is only in Allah, then I must destroy myself in the desires of my Imam. Nothing must stand in front of the orders of my Imam, because he is my only way to Allah. So Jabir receives a letter. What does this letter say? Now he's not a young man, he's an old man now. He is one of the Ashab Sir. The letter says, Jabir, I want you to take a stick, put it between your legs, and run around with the children in Kufa like you're riding a horse. From whom? Imam al-Baqir. What does Jabir do? Picks up a stick and goes out. Doesn't question, doesn't once say, what in the world is the Imam asking me to do? At this old age, start riding around on a stick, pretending it's a horse amongst the children. Imam says, no, Jabir, do it. Jabir straight away takes the stick, starts running amongst the children. What was the secret? It was that the Khalifa of the time had sent a letter to the governor of Kufa and had said, whatever you must do, you have to force Jabir al-Ju'fi to become one of our ministers, one of the qadis in our court. If he refuses, kill him. But put as much pressure as you need for him to. Now this was working for a tyrant government. Imam tells Jabir to do this. Now when this governor comes, he sees Jabir al-Ju'fi is running around with a stick and he's pretending he's a horse and he's running with the kids. He writes back, he says, listen, Jabir has lost it. Says, he's gone insane. He's no good for judgment or to be a judge, and killing him is going to have no benefit. So let's just leave him be. Point being, that Jabir was so dissolved in his Imam, so submitted to his Imam, that when his Imam gave him an order that seemingly for us seems ludicrous, Jabir al-Jufi never once questioned. And this is why he was from amongst the Ashab. We're awaiting an Imam. We want to be from amongst the closest companions of the Imam. But can I say that I have dissolved my desires for the sake of my Imam? On this, the first night of Rajab, on this, the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the wasila of the fifth Imam, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us tawfiq to be able to be annihilated within our Imam and within the orders of our Imam. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives our sins. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Oh Allah, those who are in debt, clear their debts. Oh Allah, keep safe the Shia of Ali Muhammad around the world. Oh Allah, give us tawfiq to see within our lifetime the rebuilding of Baqir and the downfall of Ali Saud. Oh Allah, give us tawfiq to go on the Ziyarat of Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam this year and every year. Oh Allah, destroy the enemies of Tashayyu in whichever form they may come. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhireen, his true waiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any other du'as that you brothers and sisters have brought. Please recite three of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا مولاتي يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا صار الله وابن ثاري والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أتمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك ورضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأسلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مهمات ثيابها وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الوفي الزكي الحاكم المهدي وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولده كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبيا بكم معقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سن وأمري لأمركم متبع صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباء، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداع، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة النساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن العلي الولي الزكي الناصر، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله، بأبي أنتم وأمي تبتم وتابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم الإسلام وأقدمهم إيمان وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوتهم على الإسلام. أشهد لك نسعت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي. فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر والأخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل، وألحقك الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. السلام عليك يا علي زين العابدين ومحمد الباقر وجعفر الصادق وموسى الكاظم وعلي بن موسى وأختيك فاطمة المعصومة. السلام عليك يا محمد التقي وعلي النكي والحسن العسقري والحجة بن الحسن القائم المنتظر المهدي. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا قابة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. أجر الله تعالى فرجاك وسحر الله تعالى مخرجاك وظهور الأمر ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا معينا حتى تسكنه وزكاته وتمتعه فيها طويلا.